Ooh, baby. It's horse beef here. And I'm talking about Bivol versus Beterbiev, which took place last night. For me, eclipsed the UFC card that was going on. I was watching both fights simultaneously, or both cards simultaneously. Taira and Royval ended up happening way later down the line. So I was able to catch the main event and a good majority of the fights on that card. If you want to know my thoughts on it, good card overall. That the co-main was pretty fun. Main event was very fun, and Royval deservingly won that, despite the fact that I picked Taira. But I did want to talk about Beterbiev versus Bivol, because this is the fight of the century, really. Beautiful build-up, beautiful promotion as well. Like, seriously, the UFC needs to take notes on how this fight was built up. That amazing little short film trailer thing that was beautifully put together and just built the hype for a fight of this magnitude, and I think it lived up to the hype. But there's a weird cloud being cast over this fight, because despite the fact that it was razor thin, a lot of people are saying that this was a robbery, including the Weasel. And this is kind of the reason why I wanted to make this video, is because I feel like the Weasel went a little bit too hard into calling this one a robbery. I mean, just because your preferred fighter lost the fight doesn't really mean that it was a robbery. This thing was razor thin, dude. Bivol displayed some of the best footwork in boxing. The reason why he has some of the best footwork in boxing, great combination puncher, dude, so fast. And in those regards, he had that over Beterbiev. But Beterbiev is so relentless with his pressure. Showed a great chin, too. He ate a lot of combinations. Was hurt on a couple of occasions, it looked like. And whenever Bivol was able to pressure Beterbiev against the ropes, Beterbiev, I thought, did an incredible job at landing his own shots, his own tight little left hooks, for the most part, that would land on Bivol and then deter him, right? Because a lot of people, I noticed some reactions online, are wondering why Bivol kept getting him against the ropes and then retreating. Is because every time he was able to get some shots off on Beterbiev, he would end up eating a couple of shots from Beterbiev and clearly get hurt by those, and it was the reason why he was deterred going forward in that fight. And by the end of it, Bivol looked faded, and Beterbiev looked like he could have gone another 10 rounds. That's what impresses me so much, is that somebody who's as powerful of a puncher as Beterbiev is able to keep that up for the entirety of the fight. And I think it's just the way that he approaches these fights. He just throws what comes naturally to him. He doesn't overthrow his shots. It's all perfect technique. And he throws a lot of pitter-patter ones, like little light shots through the guard, just to set up his big blows, right? When he really loads up. But he never actually loads up, though, because his technique is so flawless. And he was digging some beautiful shots to the body later on in the championship rounds that would have put a lot of other possible contenders down, right? So Bivol showed some great toughness. His eye was busted up, but yeah, as he said, a lot of Beterbiev's big shots were landing on the glove, and that's what caused the eye damage. So I guess the judges were maybe looking at the optics of that. And when you get down to the numbers, yes, right, Beterbiev marginally outlanded Bivol, but threw a lot more shots than Bivol did. So clearly Bivol was the more efficient one. And the way that boxing scoring works, it's kind of weird. Right, it is weird. I do agree with the Weasel in that regard, is that it's strange because there isn't exactly a priority list, right? Because in the UFC, it's impact over everything else, right? It's impact, and then you start to factor in ring generalship. But with boxing, it seems like everything is weighed up equally. So it kind of makes judging more subjective than even in MMA, even though, of course, fucking MMA judges get it wrong all the time. It's no surprise that judges can see these matches so differently. But not a single judge actually gave it to Bivol, which did surprise me, because by the end of it, I thought for sure it would be a split decision. I thought maybe one judge would give it to Bivol, one would give it to, or two would give it to Beterbiev. That's what I was expecting to happen. But by the end of it, I did have Beterbiev up. I think Bivol has himself to blame, and respect to him, he has taken accountability and hasn't bit on any of these shameless reporters' questions trying to bait him into saying that it was a robbery, when it just clearly wasn't, man. It was a great contest. It was a great contest between two of the best boxers around, and I'm just so glad it lived up to the hype, because I haven't been really hyped up about a boxing match in so long. So I appreciate these two men going out there, giving it their all, and I get there is some controversy around Beterbiev, because anyone associated with this man right here, Kadyrov, if that's how you say his name, yeah, I understand it, right? I don't know a lot about Kadyrov. I understand that whenever his name is brought up, the word warlord, kind of gets brought into it. So I understand that he might not be the greatest person to be associating with. And in my research, my brief research before before bringing him up here. I found an alleged story where he apparently ordered Fedor Emelianenko's daughter to be beat because of something, because Fedor had an issue with something regarding Kadyrov. I don't know, but that's crazy. So it's no surprise that you see so many fighters associating with Kadyrov, because he must have some kind of power over them, especially if he knows where their families are or anything. I don't know, like the fact that you see Khamzat Chimaev with him, yeah, you see Beterbiev. I get that, you guys who picked Bivol and wanted Bivol to win, and who were watching the fight with Bivol shaded goggles, may have seen Kadyrov enter the ring after the fight and thought, oh, see, that's why he won. He must have paid off the judges, or he must have threatened the judges' families and all that. And I get that. I do get that, right? That frame of mind, but it seems like you're just looking for any reason to call this fight a robbery when it was just such a razor-thin, beautiful clash of styles. As I said, man, Bivol was the slicker boxer. 100% he was always going to be, and he proved that once again. He proved that he is the slicker boxer. But with Beterbiev's power, and those thudding blows that he throws, man, it's so weird to me. It's so weird to me because he doesn't look like he puts a lot on them, but I think it's just a testament to his natural power, number one, and his incredible technique, impeccable, right? His technique is a thing of beauty. The fact that his shots can look so short, so mild, right? Like a lot of those shots look like tippy-tap punches, but they're not, and they're clearly having an effect on Bivol. He was landing a lot of his looping shots around the guard, some were landing around the back of the head, which is a strategy, I believe, of Beterbiev's, where he'll loop those shots to where they are landing behind the ear and borderline back of the head at times. So some fight fans might call that a bit of a dirty strategy, but it definitely works for him. And Bivol definitely looked hurt on some occasions. Both men hurt each other. Great matchup. And once again, I don't know how the fuck Beterbiev keeps it up and looks no different. He doesn't look any different from the first minute of the fight to the last minute of the fight. And it's just the way he approaches it, man. He's such a professional. He's so damn good. He had Bivol running for, I'd say, like the last 4 rounds or so. Bivol, of course, had moments of his own. He's so slick, man, on the back foot, landing some of those combinations. But, dude, if you shell up against Beterbiev and you give him the opportunity to land shots through your guard, around your guard, dig body shots in, you could see the clear effect it was having. So, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit dishonest. And a weird play, to try and cast that cloud over this fight and say that it's a robbery and this and that, because nah, man, both men went out there, put it all out there. Bivol's being a man about it. Beterbiev was very gracious in the situation, so just let it rest and be appreciative for how great this fight turned out to be. Ignore Kadyrov and all the politics surrounding him and the controversy there, right? Let's just take this fight as it is, appreciate it. Because right now, boxing is arguably in a better spot than the UFC, man. It's having a bit of a resurgence with fights like this. You had Anthony Joshua versus that Dubois dude. And crazy upset there, right? Tyson Fury versus Usyk. Dude, boxing has been killing it recently. The Saudis, you might not like it, but the Saudis are really changing the game here for boxing, putting crazy production value, as I said earlier, into the promotion for this fight, and for it to live up the way that it did. I'm just so happy. Loved watching it. As I said earlier, definitely eclipsed the UFC main event, but both were great. And I will get into that card very, very briefly. My picks were like 50-50 on that. They were like 50-50, but as I said before, I don't really care too much about my picks. I just pick and then see how it goes. Dan Argueta versus Cody Haddon. Really fun fight. Dan Argueta had some of the worst striking defense I've ever seen, just leading with his head at every given moment, and Cody Haddon showed some great toughness and wherewithal to just keep piecing up Dan Argueta despite looking pretty gassed at times. But Cody Haddon's a fun fighter to watch, really, really skilled on the feet. I like watching him, man. He's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to his future fights. Clayton Carpenter remained undefeated. I thought he would lose his O against Lucas Roca. Roca did land a nice knee in the second round, but then he was taken down, and Clayton Carpenter made him tap. He's pretty skilled, but I feel like Clayton, he shows some holes, especially on the feet, but on the ground he's very, very skilled. Julia Pilastri versus Corey McKenna. Pilastri beat her up, destroyed her in the clinch, and deservingly won a decision. Junior Tafa versus Sean Sharaf. Sharaf just had no gas tank. Neither guy did, but Junior Tafa just had more in the tank and pieced up Sean Sharaf. I thought Sharaf was actually going to have Junior Tafa finished at the end of the first round. I don't know how he managed to get him to the ground in that fashion. And then, the tides appeared to be turning. And then in the second round, Junior Tafa put it on Sharaf. But Sharaf is so tough, man. His first fight in the UFC, I feel like he should focus on maybe getting himself in better shape so that his career doesn't, end up like a shittier version of Derek Lewis's, because who cares about Sean Sharaf? We all love Derek Lewis, so we can deal with the fact that he gets that he gasses out and all that because we expect a knockout. But a guy like Sean Sharaf, if you show up every single fight like that and can't finish in the first round, then just get gassed and finish, your career in the UFC won't flourish as much as it could. So yeah, if I was Sharaf, I would put a lot of work into cutting some weight and maybe even going down to like 205 if it's possible for him. Themba Gorimbo versus Nico Price. Fun fight, I guess, at times, but Themba just did not look good on the feet. He looks so bad on the feet. His technique, his boxing is just not very good. But he's a good grappler, and he's very smothering on top. But okay fight. Jonathan Pierce versus Pat Sabatini. Pretty quick. Ended in the first round submission. Great performance from Pat Sabatini. I believe I picked Jonathan Pierce, so wrong once again there. CJ Vergara versus Temirov. Dude, Temirov is a little animal, dude. Just walked CJ Vergara down when he had him hurt. Just kept ripping shots, dude. Hooks around the guard, went to the body, put him down, finished the fight there. Great performance from Temirov. I'm looking forward to his eventual fights going down the line. Daniel Rodriguez versus Alex Morono. Morono once again shows a horrible gas tank, and Daniel Rodriguez deservingly won the fight. Grant Dawson versus Rafa Garcia just beat him up and then delivered an awesome post-fight speech and called out his wife's dump truck or his girlfriend's dump truck, whoever it is. And yeah, she was looking good in the audience, man. So good for you, Grant Dawson. Chidi and Joe Kawani versus Jared Gooden. Pretty okay fight, I suppose. And Joe Kawani won that fight. There's not really much to talk about regarding that one, but a deserving victory for Chidi and Jokawani. And then we get into Brad Tavares versus Park Jun-young. Good fight. I really enjoyed this. The Iron Turtle. I'm a fan of this dude. I like him. I like watching fight. I picked him. He got it done. I got worried when he got dropped in the first round, but yeah, Brad Tavares, I think, lost the pop eventually because of Park Jun-young's persistent jab. He just kept putting the jab in the face of Brad Tavares, flustered him, busted up his nose, and looked like you hurt him on a few occasions in the second and third rounds, but yeah, then took him down, secured the third. And the third was pretty boring, but a smart third round from Park Jun-young. He was attacking submissions, though, but a deserving victory. He for sure won rounds 2 and 3, especially on impact in the second round. Dude, that jab was landing at will, dude. Brad Tavares could not do a thing about it. And then in the main event, as I said before, great fight. Brandon Royval deservingly won. Tatsuro Taira just did not have the gas tank to go 5 rounds here, but he's so skilled. He just has to clean up his striking a little bit, get his head up the center line. I think he's so young that we might end up seeing a bit of like a Diego Lopez type improvement from him, because I remember Diego Lopez, I know he's not nearly as young as Taira, but the improvements that we've seen in his game have convinced me that he could actually become a champion. And I believe that Taira could become a champion, but we need to see him start to slip off the center line so he can land those overhands, because he was just keeping his head right out there, slinging big overhands, trying to counter Royval. But Royval's hands were just landing at will, although such toughness from Taira to not get finished there. I was hoping that he would maybe secure that 5th round, because if he won the 5th, then there was a good argument that he could actually be given the decision. But Brandon Royval did everything he had to do. Great performance, and he should probably get the title shot. Not probably. He's the number 1 contender, and he remained number 1 contender by beating this Taira dude who's being fast-tracked by the UFC. So you have to give the title shot, whether it's against Asakura or Pantoja. As he said in his post-fight speech, you need to give him the title shot. It's 100% deserved. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on Beterbiev versus Bivol, and also the UFC card that took place last night. So I appreciate you watching as always, and I'll see you on the next one.